Greetings, fellow bowling ball enthusiasts. League Bowler Matt, and I'm back again for another edition of West Seattle Bowl Pro Shop Vids. This is my second time guest hosting, and what do you know? I'm showcasing another nostalgia ball. Earlier in the year, I did a showcase of the Columbia 300 Pulse. Make sure you check out that video, and that was released to celebrate the 30th anniversary of the Pulse. And today, in this video, we are celebrating the 30th anniversary of the Brunswick Danger Zone by showcasing both of those balls. And yes, balls as in plural. Brunswick has released two Danger Zones. There is the original Danger Zone, so it looks very similar to the one that came out 30 years ago. It's a solid ball, it's black. It was also showcased by Joe, so make sure you check out that video. Today, I have the other version. It's the pearlized version, and that one's called the Brunswick Danger Zone Purple Ice, which to me sounds like a flavor of Mountain Dew. But hey, I too would be scraping the bottom of the bowling ball named barrel if I was trying to come up with new names for zones, because there are a ton of zone bowling balls. In fact, there are more unique zone bowling balls than there are original Pokemon characters. But we'll talk about that later. We're here to bowl. Let's throw some stones. All right, so as always, I haven't thrown this ball yet at all. I did get a warm up, and I chose to warm up with the Brunswick Vintage Teal Rhino Pro. I went with that ball because it also has that classic light bulb shaped core. So I thought there would be some similarities, keeping in mind that the attributes of the Danger Zone Purple Ice and the Teal Rhino Pro are probably going to be different. And you may be saying to yourself, Matt, what are the attributes of this Danger Zone Purple Ice? Well, let me tell you. It has a radius of gyration, or an RG, of 2.501. So what that's telling me is that the mass of this ball is very close to the center. It's not out towards the surface. It's going to make the ball very eager to get into a roll and to continuously roll. It has a differential, or a diff, of 0.048. That's on the higher side, and that's telling me that this ball is going to want to flare. It's going to want to touch the surface a lot. And then on top of that, its cover stock is the HK22, and Brunswick's added the Power Coil 26 reactive resin additive to it. And in theory, what that should do is help get this ball down the lane and make that reaction a little more extreme. So let's test it out and see what it does. All right, so I'm going to stand where I was warming up with the Vintage Teal Brunswick Rhino Pro. Let's start there and see what we get. Woo! All right, so as advertised, that got through and down the lane very clean. And I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but the way that thing was just rolling and revving up and going, it was very nice. I thought it was going to go early, but I guess because it's a pearl, you know, it got down further, and I really liked what I saw. So I'm going to stay there and throw another. All right, so that one drifted a little bit more to the left than my last shot, but it had a really nice recover. Came in strong and still packed the pocket. All right, let's do one more in the same spot, and then we'll move. Whew. All right. So not bad, 3 balls in my normal area. First one, flush. Second one, I drifted a little bit. And the third one, I'd say I got a little grabby on it. But for the most part, it had that nice, continuous roll to it. Very predictable. I could see this being very versatile. Could probably be used on a lot of different patterns. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and move about 5 boards to the right. Let's try to swing it just a little bit and see what it does. All right, man, this ball looks really good down the lane. I'm really glad that I color coordinated today. That was a happy accident right there. All right. So I would say on that one, I was standing, well, here's a question for you. When you're lining up and you're saying what board you're on, what foot are you referring to? Your sliding foot? Because I always line up with my non-sliding foot. So if I tell you those numbers, they're probably gonna throw you off. So essentially, I was inside, I threw it way too far out. Didn't recover, but to be expected because I'm not expecting like massive reactions to this ball. I'm expecting something continuous, rolly, predictable. Not gonna do anything too extreme most likely if I would be using this in competition or in league. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and move about halfway back to where I started. I think I moved a little bit too far in, so I'm gonna just make a small adjustment and be in between the two spots and give it a try there. Not bad. I think I was inside 10 on that. For the earlier ones, I would want to say I was probably around maybe 8, 7 before, and that seemed to be a pretty good spot. So I'm going to try to stand in that same spot, swing it out to about, oh, I don't know, 9 or 8. Let's see what happens. There we go. Oh man, I am liking this ball immediately. It's got the shape that I like, it's got the reaction that I like. I'm getting very comfortable with it very quick. It's not doing anything that's surprising me, which makes me happy. No surprises are a good thing. All right, I've moved back inside. I'm gonna try to keep it inside. Yeah, that held well in the oil. Still reacted strong. All right, I'm gonna continue to move right, and I'm gonna try to keep it inside, but now I'm probably, where am I at? I'm 10 boards to the right of where I originally started. I'm gonna try to keep it inside. There we go. All right, so in my comfort zone, in my typical lineup shot, ball is just crushing it. It's reading exactly like the way that I want it to. It's getting down lane, it's going strong. I have a little bit of recovery on both sides if I swing it out or if I tug it a bit. We moved inside, and as long as I kept it inside, it pushed all the way down, got to the pocket, and still had enough power to pack it, which I'd really like to see. So now let's move all the way left and try to play outside here and see what it does. I'll give it a little extra speed. Well, that's just bad bowling on my part, so let's try that again. All right, once again, all the way outside, trying to play it up the outside here. All right, probably too strong for that, and probably on a board with no oil as well, but it was still fun to try. All right, let's move back to where I originally started. This is the line that I'm most comfortable with, and let's see if that shot's still there. Oh no. Well, that's how you know that shot was perfect. My goodness, that 9-pin, oh, you gotta be kidding me. All right, let's go 15 to the right of, yes, let's go 15 to the right. Try to keep it inside and see if we can get it to hold and recover. All right, I think that was a little too far left, but it did try to grab. I like the length on it. Not gonna be mad at it, not gonna be mad at it. So today we're bowling on the West Seattle Bowl house shot. I'm not sure on the amount of oil, but it's the Pacific Northwest, so it's probably not much. It's about 42 degrees outside. The winds are coming from the south at about 14 miles per hour. It's 83% humidity outside right now. The index score for air quality is about a 31. And we're not expected for any rain today, which is nice because here in Seattle, we have just had an atmospheric river, if you haven't been watching the news lately. So it's nice to have a break, but please keep all those factors in play when you're watching me bowl, because I want to make sure that you have all the accurate information you need to assess this shot. So once again, we're celebrating the 30th anniversary of the Brunswick Danger Zone. The original Danger Zone came out in 1996. There was a version of the Danger Zone that was part of the vintage line that came out in 2016. And here we are now, basically 2026, with this new version of the Zone. And you know, zones have been around for a long time. I was partial to the Blue Sapphire Zone. That was one of my favorites. So as I throw this, you know, I got the nostalgia with the look, but do I have the nostalgia on the lane with this ball? Does this ball remind me of a zone? And I would say yes and no. Yes, in the sense that the shape that I'm getting is very, very similar and familiar with the balls that I had thrown, you know, back in the 90s. So the Sapphire Zone, the Columbia 300 Pulse, etc. So it's got a very familiar and comforting, I would say, roll, look, and motion. But then at the same time, I don't think Brunswick is saying that, hey, this is a replica of an old ball. I mean, I think they're saying more that, hey, we're bringing back the Danger Zone line, and this is like the new iteration of it. So I think it has a nice balance of some of the new features that you see in bowling balls. So for kind of like big balls that I've been throwing recently, like I had the Radical Max Bias, and I have the Hammer Effect and the Pure Envy, and all of those balls are just like big movement, big hitting balls. And for me, you know, I have to do a lot of adjustment to get comfortable with that style of bowling ball. With this one, I don't. This one feels very familiar, but I'm getting, I guess, the reaction and the movement that I'm seeing with newer balls, of course, because it's new technology. So I think it's a nice balance of reminding me of what a zone was, but then still being competitive and moving like the current balls do. There we go. Hey, I actually, see, it was good we talked this out together, because I think I just got a strike because of that. So came off my hand nice and clean, didn't give it any grab, and it just had that nice smooth roll. I've had a couple shots here where I have gotten a little extra lift or a little grab on my fingers, and it is jumping as a result of that. Oh, even with the double dribble, look at that. So earlier in the video, I had mentioned kind of jokingly that just the ridiculous number of zone balls that exist. And it wasn't so much of a joke. I'm pretty serious about it. Serious so much so that I brought a prop with me. I just want you to know that I wasn't joking when I was saying there was more unique zone bowling balls than there are original Pokemon characters. There are in fact at least 157 different zone bowling balls. Okay? If you think about just the Danger Zone line, there have been 25 different Danger Zones. It is probably very difficult to come up with names for zones. So what I've done is I've taken the 67 different lines of zones that have come out just to let you know that it's going to be hard to come up with a new name. And if you think you can come up with a good name for a zone, you know, put it in the comments. But let me tell you what words are already out, okay? Ace Zone, Active Zone, Attack Zone, Battle Zone, Bionic Zone, Blast Zone, Chance Zone, Combat Zone, Comfort Zone, Command Zone, Contact Zone, Control Zone, Danger Zone, Demolition Zone, Destroy Zone, Dream Zone, Dry Zone, Dynamic Zone, Explosion Zone, Express Zone, Focus Zone, Gigabolt Zone, Gold Zone, Hyper Zone, Impact Zone, Impulse Zone, Johnny Petragula Zone, Kick Zone, Majestic Zone, Master Zone, Max with 3 X's, Zone, Mega Zone, Mighty Zone, Offense Zone, Power Zone, Prime Zone, Racing Zone, Red Zone, Return Zone, Riot Zone, Rip Zone, Shock Zone, Smart Zone, Smash Zone, Solid Zone, Speed Zone, Sting Zone, Strike Zone, T Zone, Target Zone, Thunder Zone, Time Zone, Ultra Zone, Urethane Zone, Vapor Zone, Warm Zone, Warp Zone, Wide Zone, X Zone, Zone the Original, Zone Classic, Zone Defense, Zone Legend, Zone Pro, Zone Raid, Zone Red Alert, and Zone Rush. So good luck coming up with a name. Actually, I got a name. I think they should come out with one that's called the Friend Zone. And its marketing line would be, you're never going to hit the pocket with this ball. All right, well, thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I really enjoyed this Danger Zone Purple Ice. I'm looking forward to throwing it in League. I'm also looking forward to checking it out in some tournaments. And remember, Brunswick released 2 of these, the pearlized version and then the original solid. So make sure you check out Joe's video as well. be able to see some differences between the two. But I think they're both going to be some really great balls, and I'm really excited to try them out. And just thanks again for watching, and I hope you had a wonderful 2025, and I'll see you in the new year, hopefully.